Hey everyone, Saul from Three Kingdoms Games here. Coming to you today with some Modern Horizons theories. Now, for those of you who don't know, Modern Horizons is a 249 card set that is going direct to Modern, bypassing Standard. Now, this is the first time in Wizards history that they've done something like this that isn't just a reprint set. Of the 249 cards, they will all be brand new to Modern. They won't be all brand new cards to Magic. Most of these will be brand new cards to Magic, but some of them will be legacy reprinted cards put into Modern now. What this means is these could be cards from Battle Bond, from Conspiracy, or any of the other legacy products. Pre-2009 cards would count. Anything like that now will be in Modern with these. So it's going to be interesting to see how this could change the landscape of Magic as we know it. So as most of you know, in the GP circuit, there is currently 4 formats supported. There's Legacy, there's Modern, there's Standard, and there's Limited. Legacy is starting to become an interesting topic since Modern Horizons was announced. Because over the last few years, Wizards has been supporting Legacy less and less on the GP scene. This is because Wizards, as a company, needs to sell sealed product to make money. In order to do this, the best way is to get new players into the game. Because as you get new players into any format, they generally have a tendency to spend money on sealed product in some way or another. Legacy, the bar of entry has become quite high, to the point where most Legacy players I know don't see new players getting into Legacy. One of the major reasons for this is the reserve list. So the reserve list is a promissory agreement Wizards entered into with the Magic community years ago, where they have a list of cards that they have promised they will never reprint or make functional reprints of. Now, this is important because a functional reprint would be the difference between a dual land and a shock land, for instance. Because a shock land produces both types of mana, counts as both a forest and a mountain in the case of Stomping Grounds. If it wasn't for the fact it said deals 2 damage to you for it to come into play untapped, it would be a functional reprint of a original dual land. But since they added that shock variant, it is now no longer a functional reprint. So this means that all these cards on the reserve list, they'd have to modify in some way or another if they wanted to reprint them. Now, there's also a lot of theories that this might be a chance with Modern Horizons for them to print some of the legacy staples, such as Force of Will and other stuff, into Modern. Or this might be Wizards' attempt to phase out Legacy, replacing it with Modern. So, of the GP circuits, the last 3 years, so from 2016 to 2018, you can see on this graphic here, Legacy only made up 6%. That means roughly 4 events a year you're getting. So far this year, they've scheduled 1 in the 6 months of events they've spoiled so far for the GP circuit. Modern made up 21%. Standard made up 34%. And Limited made up 39%. Now, Limited will always make up the largest percentage for Wizards because, again, like I said, sealed product makes them more money. Limited moves sealed product. Now, the other thing is bar of entry I've mentioned into these different formats. So when you look at the 3 major constructed formats supported on the GP circuit, Legacy, Modern, and Standard, these numbers I'm about to say I came up with by going on MTG Top 8, went through the last 2 months of data, and took the highest played percentage decks, the top 10 for each format, and averaged them out. So for Legacy, the bar of entry currently is $2,755. Modern is at $1,130, and Standard is at $300. These are all American prices, by the way. So you can see just by those numbers, an almost $2,800 bar of entry to get into Legacy at a competitive tier. That is pretty big for a lot of people. most people who play Legacy happen to have the cards already or got into it long ago before all the recent spikes in activity in the singles markets. Modern is a little bit easier to get into at its, under $1,200 American bar of entry. That's still high for some people. And then standard at the more modest $300 bar of entry. So right there we'll show you some of the reasons that might discourage people from getting into these different formats. Now, if Modern Horizons does up the power level of Modern the way we think it will, making it kind of like the new Legacy, one of the questions is, maybe not now, but does that mean in the next Modern Horizons set, they're going to announce, your commander cards or your Battle Bond, Conspiracy, those sets will suddenly be legal in Modern? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered with that. Plus, Modern Horizons might be a way for them to print necessary answers for current Modern decks or help strengthen the format on the whole. Now, if Legacy is replaced with Modern, they're not going to just stick with 3 formats. So, back on December 6th, there was a Screen Rant interview with Elaine Chase, the VP of Esports for Wizards of the Coast. She said in her interview that there's going to be a non-rotating format introduced for Arena around rotation this year. This format is going to be known as Standard Plus. I hope it has a better name because Standard Plus is an atrocious name in my opinion. And this will be a non-rotating format for Arena. So currently, we're assuming it's Ixalan forward, given that they did the refunds back when Kaladesh and Amonkhet rotated out and they switched to open beta. Also, with the history of Magic as it is, we know almost everything that happens online in some form or another will happen in paper. This announcement will come with full details closer to rotation this year, so around September, October. Now, this brings up an interesting thing. So, Modern will become the new Legacy. This Standard Plus, they're announcing it at the perfect time because this is around the time of year where they lose a percentage of new players every year. Because who wants to find out half their cards aren't usable, or their entire deck in some cases aren't usable? So this will give them an option to keep playing. Now, it also will make the interactions more predictable for the first while we'll also have now this new superpower Modern, which might even get harder to judge in some ways depending on what Legacy cards they introduce. So, Modern phases out Legacy. Standard Plus becomes the new Modern. Standard's still Standard. It's their bread and butter. It's their classic, format they're not going to get away with. Or they're not going to go away from. They've gotten away with it for years, but that's a whole nother thing. And then Limited's still going to be one of their premier formats. So, there you have it. Those are some of my theories on what they might be doing with Modern Horizons. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Do you think it's possible that they're trying to phase out Legacy? Do you think, Modern Horizons is a good idea? Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's an easy way to support us in everything we do. You can always follow us on all major social media. That's in the description box below, as well as follow our blogs at threekingdomsgames.com. You can stop into store. There's one in Markham, one in Toronto. I'll see you next time.